Hello everyone, and welcome to a bit of a weird and different video today. So I'm doing something I've never done before, so bear with me, might be a bit strange. But what I want to do in this video is show off some perk cards that could be added to Fallout 76, which I think would be really cool. Now, the reason I think they would be really cool is these are perk cards I have made myself. If it's not obvious from the mock-ups that you'll be seeing on screen when I talk about each of them, I came up with these, made the cards, did all of the stuff for it, and I was like, yep, these are cards I'd like to see added into the game. Because Fallout 76's perk card system is a cool way to do character creation and character builds, where you can switch it around at any time, but one of the best things about it is that you can really just add in perk cards whenever you like. Bethesda can just add perk cards in, and it will change how the game is played for a lot of people, but it's not like back in Fallout 4 where we had a skill tree where you could only really add on to other skills that were already there, or add perks that you gain from missions. And I can't remember who it was, but people during the whole Fallout 76 press tour before it was released were talking about how they had wanted a new system where they could just add in more perks as time went by without having to completely redesign the entire thing. So these are a whole bunch of my ideas for future perk cards I'd love to see in the game, and we're just going to go through each of them, talk about them for a minute or two, and feel free to, of course, as I'm talking, just go, oh yeah, that's really cool, or oh, I'm not so big a fan of that, etc, etc. I'm considering doing this as a premiere video as well, so hopefully we could all talk in a live stream, because that would be a fun way to do this, I think. Anyhow, let's get started on the first card, which is Rightful Master. Now this is one which we need. We need a perk card that reduces the weight of rifles. We have perk cards to reduce the weight of every single other thing in the game. Actually no, I'm lying there. I don't think there's a way to reduce the weight of gunpowder. Yeah, I don't think there's a perk card for that, but pretty much everything else we can do. And as a character and just a person who likes rifles, they're my main go-to weapon, be it automatic or single action. Man, I can't believe there's not a weight reduction perk for rifles. It is the one that's been left out, and that needs to change. What I've got here is a fairly straightforward card. It's Perception, same as all the Rifleman stuff, so if you are a rifle-based character, this can slot in. There are a lot of good Perception cards, so you might have to sacrifice something else, but it's applicable to the skill, I guess. You could make this Strength, to be fair, or Agility I could see it in, but I went with Perception just to fit with the whole rifles. And what it does is, I've got it as a 1 point perk cost card and 3 different ranks. I figure first rank, rifles weigh 15% less and are drawn 10% faster. I do think it's important to have a second effect on there. As nice as weight reduction perks are, I'm not a huge fan of the perk cards which just reduce weights of things. I do use a fair amount of them, but it's much more fun if they've got some secondary bonus, like the Scattershot, I can't even say it, is a great card because it reduces the weight and reload faster, I think, for shotguns. It's got some secondary effect, and it's just nice to have that secondary effect, which isn't like a game changer, but it's just a nice boost. And I figure each rank of these will be effectively the same. So rank 2, they weigh 30% less and are drawn 20% faster. Rank 3 weigh 45% less and are drawn 30% faster. That's by no means like a huge weight reduction for rifles, but it's a bit, and it gives a second bonus as well of drawing them faster, so you're a bit quicker on the draw, which is just kind of nice. This is by no means the perfect perk card to make rifles better, but it's just a nice simple one. I think we can all agree there needs to be a perk card which reduces the weight of rifles. Bethesda, just do it, please. Next up, I have gone for another Perception card. This time, Scorch Detector, a 2-cost perk card with 1 rank. Scorch Beast can be tracked through your Pip-Boy radio. Now this is something which I feel should be in the game already, because I've recently, I believe, which character was it? I think it might have been on my Melee Madness character. I do the Melee Madness and the Scavenger run. I record the episodes back to back, so I always forget which character is at what point. But I was doing the Free States missions, and they talk about tracking down Scorch Beasts and, oh yeah, you can identify them with all this new tech. But nothing really comes about from it other than just progressing the story. You don't get a way to specifically track Scorch Beasts, at least not that I've been able to find anywhere or heard anyone talk about. So I figured with this perk card, maybe make it quest locked, so you have to complete the Free States quests first. That would be a nice way to get a lot of people who have kind of ignored the main story, or skipped ahead to beyond the Free States, which you can do, would get them to go, oh, maybe I should go back and try out these quests, and it gives them more content to do. And just the ability to track Scorch Beasts isn't going to be anything amazing, but I figure you just get a signal on your Pip-Boy radio, you can tune it in, and it will be like we've had in Fallout 4 and in this game, where you get signal strength up in the top left, the percentages. I'd say you'd probably want a much bigger range than it gave in a lot of the previous games. Maybe like Fallout 4, where you're hunting down the synth. That was a decent range you had on that, from 0 to 100%. That way you can find Scorch Beasts a lot easier. If you're going hunting for them, which I know I've done a few times, it's just a handy thing to have. This is by no means a great perk, but I think it's just a cool one. And more cool perks in the game, I'm always down for. Alrighty, next up, let's switch over to Agility, where I've got the Natural Camouflage perk. At rank 1, gain 10 damage and energy resistance while in foliage, and I've given this 4 ranks in total, so 40 damage and energy resistance while in foliage at max rank. This, once again, is nothing amazing, but I just kind of like it for the same reason as the previous one, but it kind of ties into the Free States thing, and we had that, you had the Shrouded mod for wood armour you got from the Free States, and they talked about being stealthy and sticking to cover in the mire and stuff. And I'd like to see actual proper stealth mechanics used in the game a bit more. Because right now it's a case of you just take the sneak perks, have high agility, and that's it. That's how you do stealth gameplay. This is something where I've realised I've called it natural camouflage and gained 10 damage and energy resistance while in foliage. Maybe there could be a stealth element to it as well, but there's always room for improvement with these cards for certain. But it's the kind of thing where I just like the idea of having some bonus to sticking to bushes and hiding behind trees and all of that kind of stuff. Actually using the elements and the nature around you to your advantage. This one, I will say, is very much just a general idea perk. I definitely could do better than this. Just, I wanted to get something about it on here, so I've just gone with it. Next up, I'm going to go over to Charisma, where I've got the Aid Ally perk. A free cost perk card with only 1 rank. All aid items have a chance of applying to nearby allies. So we've got other perks like this where your stim packs have like a percentage chance of applying to nearby teammates and all of that. I just kind of want a generalised one. Because this way, if you're eating, if you're drinking, if you're healing up with stim packs, if you're doing anything aid related, there's a chance it will apply to nearby allies. That's just kind of cool, and it's another good charisma perk, and I want there to be more good charisma perks that actually promote teamwork. That's all I'm really going with this one, is I want to see more charisma perks that get people to team up and make it more just beneficial to be in a team, and more beneficial to have more points of charisma. Hence I've put this as a free cost perk card, because I want to see people actually having high charisma builds. I started the game with a high charisma build, I then dropped my charisma all the way down to 4, because that's all I've ever needed since. That's it. That's been more than good enough for me. So I just want more higher cost, good charisma perk cards in the game. That's all. Now let's switch over to Endurance, where I've gone with Immunised. Gain complete disease immunity. Now, there are already a lot of perk cards in Endurance which give you a chance to resist disease from a specific thing, be it eating, drinking, the environment, or an animal. Each of these is 1 cost per rank. They each have 3 ranks, and it goes 30%, 60%, 90%. None of them, as far as I can recall anyway, give you complete disease immunity from any of the 4 sources. And nobody takes any of these perks because they suck. That's a simple way around it. I won't often say, oh, a perk card's terrible, because I know there's tons of different builds out there and all of that stuff, but with how prevalent and easy it is to get disease cures and antibiotics, which do exactly the same thing, and there's 2 ways to get them, and you can craft them, and oh god, it's so easy to get them. The fact you have to spend 12 points in Endurance on perk cards to get close to immune to diseases sucks. So I figure 1 high cost perk card, so 5 points you have to spend, to get complete disease immunity. Diseases are not the end of the world, but with this card, it means you don't have to worry about them at all. Someone playing on low endurance could still get a benefit out of the other ones if they really decide to do it, if they're like, oh, I don't want to get attacked by Scorch beasts and get diseases from them because they give blight, but everything else I'm not fussed about, then maybe they just go for rank 3 of... I can't even remember what the name is. I'll pop the card up screen here now so you can see that one. But they go rank 3 of that. That means they only need to spend 3 points in endurance. Someone who doesn't want to deal with diseases at all, though, can spend 5 points in endurance, which keep in mind means they need to have endurance 5 or higher. They can just have this perk card equipped. They don't have to worry about diseases. It's a huge gain, but it can only be for characters who have already decent endurance and are willing to spend a lot of points in endurance on this one card. So it might seem like complete disease immunity is like, wow, that's really quite strong, but it's quite expensive as well. I really like the balance I took with this one. Although, of course, do feel free to be like, what, no, rah, whatever in the comments. I'm fine with that. I'm all down for the interaction with the community on this one. Here's a fun one. In luck, we have Gold Digger. 1 point per rank, 3 ranks, you have a small chance to find caps whenever you mine ore. So ore is all over the place in the game, but I very rarely bother with it because you have to smelt it down, you have to get the right amounts, all of that stuff. This is just something to make it slightly better and help incentivise mining ore in general. You get a small chance to find caps whenever you mine ore. Rank 2, you have a chance to find caps whenever you mine ore. Rank 3, you have a substantial chance to find caps whenever you mine ore. Just a case of, oh, here you go, you're mining and partaking in this little side activity which you don't really need to do, and a lot of people skip over. Have some caps to go along with it. Perk card for that, I just think is lovely. We've already got similar stuff in luck already for chems and ammo, and actually 4 caps with cap stashes, so I figure, why not? An even more basic one is in intelligence, Gamma Guy. Deal 25% more radiation damage, got this at 2 ranks, second rank would just be 50% more radiation damage. This is really just simple. It's a way to boost radiation damage of certain weapons. Most weapons that deal radiation damage aren't that great in PvE situations because a lot of enemies are resistant or possibly even immune to radiation damage. But for certain guns and for very specific builds, this card would be amazing. And that's why I want it. Just for those specific characters. I saw someone, I believe, on the Appalachian Explorers Discord the other day talking about this really amazing bloodied automatic gamma gun they'd got, which dealt just so much ridiculous amounts of damage, but it was mostly ballistic. I'd like to see there be more of a focus on the radiation damage, and for it to have a better use, because right now it just kind of sucks. This is a way to make it better without changing the mechanics, but also making it so that for the odd time radiation damage is useful, it's actually really useful. And I have a trio of perk cards left, and these are some of the weirder ones, but also some of the ones I love more. First up, we're going to talk about my 2 loyalty perk cards, Brotherhood Loyalty and Enclave Loyalty. I've only done mock-ups of these 2, but ideally there'd be one for each of the factions. Each of them is a 2-point perk card, 2-cost perk card, man it's complicated with all of that, with a single star. I've put them in intelligence, but honestly, I feel like maybe they could switch around depending on their factions, so maybe Free States is agility, maybe like Responders is charisma, you know, something that's fitting. And it's just gain plus 5% XP and plus 5% damage while wearing the clothing of the faction that you've got the perk card for. That's it. Real simple, but I like the idea of having something that ties you to a faction and gets you to kind of roleplay a bit more as that faction, and also rewards you for wearing, like, oh, I've got my Brotherhood Scribe outfit, I'm gonna wear that, cool, I'm now getting bonus XP and dealing bonus damage, sweet. And because I've decided, yes, I'm a member of the Brotherhood, I'm getting rewarded for that, and that is cool. Make these in the game, Bethesda. I know you're watching, I wish they were watching. I love these. These are the cards I started with, actually, and oh god, please just make them in the game. I'd love this, it'd be so cool. Anyway, onto the final card now, because I don't want to drag this out too long. Fear the Scorched. This is 3 ranks, 2 cost at the start, then 3 cost, then 4 cost. Take 5% more damage from Scorched, but 5% less from everything else. This is the kind of crazy perk card I want to see in the game. Because it's a really weird one where I was coming up with it and thinking to myself, it seems a bit overpowered, but in this scenario, I want this to be all Scorched enemies, so not just the basic Scorched human things, also Scorched mongrels, Scorched mole rats, Scorched Mirelurk queens, and of course, Scorch beasts. So this is an amazing card for when you're fighting non-Scorched enemies, but as soon as you go up against like the Scorch Beast Queen, suddenly you're taking 5% more damage, and the other effect is useless. It's really a perk card which you would be swapping out a fair amount if you wanted to play most tactically, but I just like anything which has a really strong buff, taking less damage, but also a really bad debuff, in this case actually taking more damage. And it makes you a more specialised character as well, and any perk card that makes you specialised is something that I am down for. Anyway, that is it for this video, a bit of a weird one, but hopefully quite a fun one too. Tell me in the comments, or if this is a premiere, I've hopefully been in the chat with you all. Yeah, tell me in the comments though what you thought of the perk cards. What did you think of my mock-ups of them as well? Would you like to see another episode of this? I've already got more ideas, so if enough people watch this, enough people enjoy this, I'll make more. Speaking of which, with enough people enjoying this, go and share this video. Tweet at Bethesda if you like these perk cards and want them in the game. Tweet at Bethesda, take a look at this video Sarge made about perk cards, add these perk cards into the game at Bethesda. Just do it. Go do it now. I'll probably tweet at them as well at some point, so just go ahead and do it. Anyway, that is going to be it. I'll talk to you all later, I guess. I got a Discord if you do want to suggest other perk cards for me, because I'm down for suggestions as well. I could do a community episode if you wanted at some point. If I get enough suggestions of cool perk cards that I can mock up. These are a bit of a pain to make, to be fair, because I do make them myself with whatever assets I can find in the game and all of that. So yeah, if there's enough cool ones though, I'll be like, cool, a community episode of all the perk cards. But as always, it's dependent on the views of the video, because if this only gets like 300 views, I can't make another episode. If this gets like 50k views, you can bet I'm making more episodes. So that is it, I'm going to stop rambling now. Thank you all very much for watching. Sarge out.